Hello, I'm Adam in Wales and this is my board gaming vlog. Today is just a little update on what I've been playing, what I've been doing. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the UK Games Expo that happened in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago. Now the UK Games Expo has become one of the largest board game conventions in the world at this point. I mean, it's not quite up there with Essen and Gen Con, but it rivals the other American conventions, and it's quite a big event. Now I've been going for the last few years and I've watched it grow, and I have a mixed sort of feeling when I go to the UK Games Expo every time. I can't quite put my finger on what that is. I think perhaps it's because I'm not just going there socially. I'm kind of going there to see if I can talk to publishers and that sort of thing. And it never quite delivers on that front in the same way that Essen does. You can't really get in that many meetings with that many significant people, and a large portion of the people at the UK Games Expo showing off their games are self-publishers and Kickstarter sort of outfits. Now, again, I have a mixed sort of relationship with the Kickstarter thing. I've bought lots of games from Kickstarter in the past, and I've frequently been quite disappointed. Usually, components fantastic, artwork fantastic, the whole thing looks great, often with a fantastic central idea to the game, but then little things crop up as you're playing the game, things that really could have been ironed out by a good developer or a good publisher, which is why I myself, with my own games, am tending to go down the route of trying to contact publishers rather than considering self-publishing. So UK Games Expo, I always think about the newcomer to the hobby. What are they going to find when they go there? And realistically, they're going to find several large publishers, yes, with very well developed, very well tested games, and then they're going to find a lot of the smaller, untested sort of Kickstarter style or self-published games, and it's going to be hard for them to determine which is which. And so I just slightly worry about the possibility of that negative response that they might get. That's not to say all Kickstarters have been bad. I've had some very good ones in the past where I've been very happy, and where those games could well have come out of a standard sort of well-established publisher and you wouldn't have seen the difference. But that's my slight concern. I spoke to one individual at the fair and he very proudly told me he had this idea for this game. It was a fantastic looking game, and same evening he set up his Kickstarter campaign, and he told me this with a real sort of glow of pride. I just thought that's not really how publishing of board games should be working. Where's the quality control in that? The Kickstarter's up there, people are pledging, and now he starts to test and starts to design that game. This is all starting to sound a bit negative and a bit cynical, isn't it? I'm going to move on. But this is my experience with the Games Expo. I love the Thirsty Meeples gaming library. It's wonderful to be able to go there and play all sorts of different games. I love the playtest zone. I love all the guys in the Playtest UK group. I've tested my own games there a lot, and I find that a fantastic part of the expo, something I look forward to every time. It's nice to see new games being released and you know their first thing coming out at the UK Games Expo rather than at the American conventions. That's great to see. So there's a lot of fantastic things going on at the expo, but as I say, I always have that slightly mixed reaction. Anyway, these are the games that I picked up. Only two of them that I picked up at the convention. Neither of them new, but the first one was Camisado. I bought the pocket version because I'm running out of space at this point, but a lovely little abstract. I was so impressed by the simplicity of the mechanism in this. So Camisado Pocket, fantastic two-player abstract game. Dimension, a different sort of abstract where we're stacking balls. It's more of a puzzle, really, a puzzle that we all try and solve within a very short 1 minute time slot and then compare and see who's done the best. No real interaction, but a speed sort of puzzle solving game. Excellent game, Dimension. I should briefly mention three other games that caught my eye at the UK Games Expo. The first was this sign that I saw on the side of one of the Asmodee booths, and this is for a British version of Timeline, British History. Now, I like the Timeline games very much. I'm eagerly awaiting, hopefully at some point, a UK release of the board game version, Timeline Challenge, but it's nice to have a British set. The second game is Ice Cool. Now this is a flicking game, so we've got these weighted penguins that we flick around this board. It's a simple game from Brain Games, and I always love a good flicking game. Finally, the other game that I played that was brand new was Animals on Board. I actually bought a copy of this, but my copy was faulty and I had to go back because it was all sort of miscut. But as far as I can tell, no one else has had that problem, and it's a great game. It's one of these sort of set collection games, except there's a nice I split, you choose sort of mechanism, which would make sense to you if you've played things like Zularetto and stuff like that. Neat game from Pegasus Spiel. Aside from the UK Games Expo, the other games that I've been playing have been, well, over the last few months, 3 games have firmly sort of established themselves as games that I always want to play, and they're now hitting my sort of top 10 games of all time. In fact, Evolution has really become my favourite game at this point. I absolutely love Evolution. I'm ready to play it any time. The Flight expansion makes it even better. I can't wait for the Climate version, which has been on Kickstarter fairly recently but should be out soon, and the new beginner version that North Star Games is making. Evolution is a wonderful thematic game. I'll have to make another video really to rave about quite why I love it so much, but it's an excellent game. The theme is deeply immersed into the whole experience. The mechanisms are great, the artwork's fantastic. Another game that I really enjoy playing over the last few months is Abyss by Bruno Cathala. Now this looks like it should be a big Ameritrash game. It's not. It's a Euro game, but it's a really, really good one, and the beautiful artwork only helps. Fantastic components, fantastic artwork, some great different mechanisms in it. Stunning game, Abyss. And then the third big box game that I've been playing a lot is Roll for the Galaxy. Again, it's a classic Euro, but it's got loads of dice, and I love games with loads of dice, particularly Euro games with loads of dice. And Roll for the Galaxy, it's much harder to teach than the other games. It's a really convoluted, weird system. I think if Race for the Galaxy hadn't already been a big success, I can't see how this would have ever got past a publisher, because it's so unintuitive. But once you're playing, it goes so smoothly, it works so well. Roll for the Galaxy is a fantastic Euro game. I'm really excited to finally be able to talk about the fact that Blue Orange Games is going to be publishing one of my own games, my second sort of published game. So that will be Make It Snappy. This is my little prototype in a little tin here. But essentially, it's a speed game. If you think of something like Jungle Speed, or maybe you've played this newer game, Gobbit, even things like Dobble, it's that sort of a world of speed, trying to make decisions quicker than your opponent. Games like Shicky Mickey and Ghost Blitz are some of my favourite games. I love these speed games, and Make It Snappy is an example of that sort of genre of game. So that will be coming out hopefully in the next sort of 18 months or so. I think Blue Orange have quite a large catalogue of games, so it's at the back of the list at the moment, but it's exciting to be working with them. Yesterday I had quite an exciting little delve into a world of board games that I don't often pay that much attention to, dungeon crawls. So we started off the day by looking at the Warhammer Quest adventure card game, in the knowledge that soon one of my friends is going to be getting a hold of a copy of Silver Tower, the new Warhammer Quest miniatures game, and we're going to be working on painting that together and playing it. We started out with the adventure card game, which was very similar to a game that I have played quite a lot, which is the Pathfinder adventure card game. I say similar in that they have exactly the same theme, albeit one in the Pathfinder world and one in the Warhammer world, which is that we're looking for bad guys and then we're going to fight them. And the Warhammer Quest one played really well. So does the Pathfinder one, frankly. It's playing cards, and it is just that. It's just fighting all the time, fighting the monsters, and very little else going on. My friend sort of joked, well, you know, when I was moaning about this, that it might be a little bit repetitive. He said, oh, why can't we talk to the monsters? And to be honest, that's what I would like. I would like some sort of missions in these games where you have to do something more than just hack and slash your way through them. These card games I never find quite as immersive as getting some miniatures on a board and actually moving them around. Now that's not my style of genre either, but at least with that the tactile thing seems to take me more into it. I can genuinely believe a little bit more in what's happening. After we played this adventure card game, we moved on to looking at Heroquest. Now, Heroquest is a game that came out in the 80s. It's one of those sort of old classics that's never been re-released, probably never will be re-released because it was a unique working between MB Games and Games Workshop. It's a children's game, but I found it fascinating to revisit it. We played a couple of missions, and I really enjoyed the experience. One of the things that was great was actually seeing a roll and move game for the first time in many years, and finding some excitement and enjoyment in that. Roll and move is so outdated, and it's something that doesn't feature in hardly any of the board games that I play. Maybe Formula D, that's the only one probably where it actually functions. But Heroquest is old school roll and move. On my turn, I want to move somewhere. I roll 2 dice, so I might get anything between 2 and 12 movement. That's a massive swing. But it's exciting because I need to get away from those bad guys. And I have a little plan, and I roll the dice, and my plan has to change just like that because I can't get away. So I'm going to have to stand and fight. I actually found it exciting. It was like meeting a new mechanism rather than what I've always considered, which is that it's something completely outdated. So I found that quite inspiring, actually. There's still something in that mechanism. It's not quite as bad as everyone's made it sound. Other than that, Heroquest was quite hard. I didn't think that. I assumed, this being a game I played as a child, that this would be quite easy. No, my characters were dying, and I was the good guys. You know, in the first mission, I was finding it tough. So that was neat, actually, and the simplicity of the game. I just love the simplicity. It plays so well, so neatly. I'm sure there is that whole repetitive thing with just ploughing through monsters. But at least we can explore rooms, and we've got that nice furniture, and there's different little story elements that can crop up. I think it's a neat game, Heroquest. Aside from Heroquest, the other dungeon crawls that I've played a fair amount of over the years, I've played a lot of Super Dungeon Explore. Now, Super Dungeon Explore, mainly I like because of the miniatures, although these miniatures are slightly dubious in terms of their whole sort of sexualised treatment of the females in the game, and the fact that chibi smile does make that a little bit more disturbing in a way. When I say chibi style, I mean that sort of childlike big head, big eyes sort of thing. Heroquest avoids that altogether, this sexualise of women, by leaving women out of the game altogether, the classic sort of 80s approach to this problem. So that's not great either, whereas Super Dungeon Explorer has loads of female characters, but they are treated a little bit oddly. Star Wars Imperial Assault is a great, essentially a dungeon crawl, but a science fiction one in that sort of universe that's so familiar. Comparing this to Heroquest is like night and day. Imperial Assault is complex, and it's got that thing where you have to constantly look up little keywords. Now, Fantasy Flight's got quite good at making reference guides that help you with this stuff and trying to put as much as they can onto the cards, which ends up making the cards a little cluttered and things like that. But they're the masters of doing it. But the degree of complexity is like night and day with Heroquest. Heroquest is so simple, you never have to look up anything. And that was nice. I enjoy Imperial Assault as well. I particularly enjoy the skirmish game, actually. But it shows how these games have evolved. So that's what's been going on with me the last couple of weeks. I hope to keep these vlogs fairly regular. I can't promise to do them weekly, but I'll be back with more sort of news about board games over the next couple of weeks, I hope. In the meantime, if you want to follow my Twitter channel, it's @BoardGameWales. I'm Adam in Wales. On Board Game Geek, I'm Adam78. And I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel and continue to watch my videos. All the best.